Hello, everybody. In our last horse talk, we asked you to get your appropriations request form from your members of Congress. Today, we'll be talking about why and what to include on that form. And we'll also be giving some basic information that you can just email to your representatives in case you're having a problem getting the form. So this is going to be one of many appropriations calls to action that we're going to have this year. All right, so the BLM is asking for 170 million of our tax dollars to fund the Wild Horse and Burro program. What are they using that money for? We have no idea. I spent about an hour on the phone today with the BLM asking for a detailed copy of their proposed expenses for their fiscal year 2025 budget. I kept being rerouted to someone else's voicemail all day long. We have the right to know what this money is being used for, don't you think? After all, these are our tax dollars being used for a program in serious need of change. Here are three sources that I was given when to request detailed plans for this $170 million. One was to send this email to blmpress@blm.gov. I don't understand why I got that. And I told her I wasn't a member of the press. And she said, I understood, but that was the email I should use. Okay. And there is an underscore in between the BLM and press. And then I was also given these two phone numbers. And I did talk to somebody today. So the other thing that I would encourage is if we can't get their detailed budget, can we get the what the prior year or 2023's spending allocation was, where their money went? And we should be able to see this because we're taxpayers and the agency should have transparency. So we do know that the BLM is asking for almost 22 million in additional money this year over last for the following. The first one is to address the wild horse and burro population challenge. So this requested increase will help offset the rising cost of caring for excess wild horses and burros in off-range corrals and pastures, as the overall cost to feed and associated services has increased significantly. The fiscal year 2025 wild horse and burro budget will provide humane care for approximately 60,000 animals in off-range corrals and pastures, and limited operations to address overpopulation on the range in and near term. So that's one of the they're asking for 5.5 million for that, plus 5 full-time employees. The second one they're asking for, this really hurts my stomach. Permanent sterilization efforts. So this is for them to invest in permanent sterilization, along with their continued use of fertility control measures, including vaccines and gelding. This is another, you can read this through here, or you can read it through their green book, but this is another 15 million plus 20 full-time employees that they're asking for to help with this part of their budget. And then baseline capacity 2024 fixed costs, so 1.3 million for this. In the 2025 budget includes important investments and programs needed to help strengthen America and be more competitive as the world continues to change. These investments include funding needed to maintain a strong, talented workforce and must-pay requirements needed to continue to fulfill the BLM's mission. The budget includes 1.3 million in wild horse and burro management, which reflects the incremental amount needed to cover fixed costs associated with mission operations in fiscal year 2024. This request, in combination with fiscal year 2025 fixed cost amounts, will allow the BLM to meet must-pay requirements without impacting program activities. If any or all of these known budget increases are not acceptable to you, you have to let your congressman know now. Now is the time that every member of Congress is working on getting language added to the appropriation bills. And that's whether or not they are on the Appropriations Committee. Every single member of Congress want something added in an appropriations bill or can influence that. So this is the time to ask. So what we're asking for, and these are just some examples to share, and I'll say this again, we're all learning. So if anybody has any suggestions, any comments, any questions, please bring them up here and we're welcome to include these in here or take them out if you think that something doesn't. If you're watching this as a recording, you can always email us at info@chwha.org or send us a private message on one of the social media platforms. So we're asking for the Department of the Interior appropriations bill specifically for the National Park Service to allow this following language to remain in the appropriations bill for fiscal year 2025. Why are we asking that? Because the issue with the Theodore Roosevelt National Park horses is not resolved, so we need Congress to keep this language in their bill. They're not going to keep it in the bill if we don't ask them to. Again, they only know what we tell them. So I have asked Senator Hoeven's office, and this will be in a formal letter to his office and my other representatives, but everybody else should also be doing that too. And then we're also asking for the Department of the Interior, for the Bureau of Land Management, we're asking the following. We want transparency. We want to know where the detailed report for taxpayers is showing what the $170 million will be used for with regards to the Wild Horse and Burro program. The Green Book is deceptive by omission of these facts. So the BLM budget should not be granted until they can be transparent with their proposed spending of our tax dollars. So this is an example of deception by denying access to this information. We have a right to this information. We do not support any additional money to care for wild horses and off-range corrals and pastures. If the BLM has over 60,000 horses right now in holding and they can't afford to take care of them, they should not be thinking about adding another 20,000. That seems very simple, but again, these are things that your members of Congress are not going to know if we don't tell them. We don't support any money going to permanently sterilize wild horse and burros. This is a radical proposal and it's inhumane and only supports the BLM's continued plans to completely eliminate wild horse and burros from the Western Range. We don't support the whole paragraph about the baseline capacity increase. If anybody has any idea on what that is talking about, because it really doesn't say, it just seemed like a bunch of words kind of swirling around in circles. So if they can explain what that $1.3 million is exactly for, then maybe we can talk about giving that to them. But what they've given us is not a whole lot of information. So we would like the BLM to explain their plans to allow wild horse and burros to remain on the 26.9 million acres of land set aside for them through the Wild Horse and Burro Act, and why the management plan is only involving permanently sterilizing horses or removing them from the range. I do want to say again, we're all learning as we go along. So this is a short version of what we feel everybody can send to their legislators and just be like starting talking points. I am going to put this together in a sample letter that can be customized and you can add or take out whatever you want. And we'll also make a quick link for it where you can just push the button and send it to your representatives. Again, we're going to have a lot of talks around appropriations and a lot of calls to action around that. And really, this is a very big time for that. So we're all learning as we're moving forward. And if anybody has any questions or anything else to add, let us know. So that's all I have. Heather, I don't know if you have anything that you want to share.
I was gonna ask Mike if he had any thoughts, but just quickly I want to point out too that sending this information in an email to your legislator is great. Using the click and send that Chris is going to put together is great. I would also put the information down on paper, whether you're handwriting it or typing it out and printing it, and I would mail it to your legislator's office as well. And I say that because I got a much better response from my representative's office after I actually took the time to print out and mail a letter to her. So I would just encourage everybody to do both actions.
Awesome. That's a good idea.
Mike, did you have any thoughts that you wanted to share on what Chris talked about today?
Mhm.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes,
You know, I think this is really wonderful and you're right on point. They've been deceptive. They've been deceptive for years. We didn't this isn't something I discovered. And we just got to call them out on it. That's the only way we can do it. We're the taxpayers. They need to tell us where this is going, and we need to be able to have some means to input into what they're doing with their funds. And it looks to me like this is one tool that the advocates can use.
right, and I will say when I, the one person that I did talk to today, when she said, I don't know that there's anything anywhere public that you could see that, and I said, why wouldn't it be? I'm a taxpayer and you're using tax dollars for your budget. When I asked about doing a FOIA request, no, you don't have to do that. And I was like, okay, so then where do I find it? So I think that I don't know that we'll get this, but I think it's worth asking for. And if we can't get the budget for 25, they should surely be able to show us where spending went in 23. I can understand 24, maybe, they don't have that all ironed out yet or whatever, but there should be definitely documents from 2023 showing where the money that they were allocated went.
Mike, do you think that's too broad of a scope to put in a FOIA? Just ask for specific budget uses in the 2023 Wild Horse and Burro program?
I'll be glad to do it, and I'll be stunned if I get an answer in 18 months.
Let's, if you don't mind, let's try.
No, it used to be that I could do it and I could show you guys a link where you could go look and what I put in, and they took that down away from us as well. But yeah, I'll be happy to do it, and I'll do my best.
Thank you.
Just so people know, the Freedom of Information Act is what we're talking about. And that says that, I mean, really, as members of the public and the tax-paying public, the government has to be transparent and they're supposed to share records that we ask them for, is the basic gist of it. And most of us that have done any FOIA requests have a very hard time getting copies of anything that we do a FOIA request for, either because the agency doesn't want to share that information, or I'm sure, Mike, you know better, they'll say that they're understaffed and don't have the people to look for it. I've had people at Theodore Roosevelt National Park tell me that it would take so many hours for them to find the records that I'm looking for because they have no idea where they are. So like, it's my fault that they're unorganized in their record keeping. Even journalists that I've talked to can't really use the FOIA process for, investigative journalism because it takes so long to get anything from them. We have a FOIA request in for Theodore Roosevelt National Park that's in appeal that I think we're about 3 or 4 years into it right now. And it's just asking for documents that we have the right to see as members of the taxpaying public. So, so that's what that is about. And like I said, when I talked to somebody today, she didn't think that we needed a FOIA for this. And I don't think we should have to either. This is something where I can understand if they don't maybe have their full penny for penny 2025 budget out there, but they know what they spent money on in 2023. Why can't we see that?
Well, what I can tell you is that the little bit of work that I've done consulting for the military, I never served, but I've been on several military consulting assignments. They don't know where they spent the money. It takes a forensic accountant to go figure that one out.
Wow.
And what they probably fear too is, information that can be found on like usaspending.gov. I spend some time on there every once in a while. And it's quite shocking how much money is paid to long-term holding facilities and or paid to those same ranches for the grass to feed the horses in long-term holding facilities. So some of that information, the ranchers themselves probably don't want getting out into public. And it wouldn't surprise me if they're pressuring the BLM to not make that information terribly public. But it is something that we should be able to see. We should be able to see exactly how much money is being spent on holding facilities. whether it's specific holding facilities or whether it says anonymous but located in Salina, Kansas. I don't care if the name of the ranch is on there, but I want to know exactly how much they're being given and how many horses are there, and so forth. So absolutely. And for those of you who haven't done a FOIA request before, it's actually really simple. I did one myself about a month ago on the White Mountain horses in Wyoming. I wanted to know how they did the population count for 2022. And they are sending me that information on a USB drive, apparently, because there's images. But there's also, when you go in to file a FOIA, there's a FOIA library too. So before you file your FOIA, you might just go through the library, put in some keywords and see if you can pull up the information that way. Before you actually file the request, you might be able to just find it quickly. I have no doubt that we wouldn't be able to find what Chris is looking for right now by any means. But if you're looking for any other information, before you do the request, just search through their library really quick using keywords and see what you can find.
Can you send me that link, Heather, and then I can put it in the YouTube description for this video so people can click on that and look for it too?
Yes, I will.
All right, I don't know if you guys have anything else to share. I just wanted to kind of get this information out, and like I said, we'll have another call to action either today or tomorrow by Friday at the latest. It's just a wacky week for me this week, so I'm sorry, but it's just life. So do you guys
Nope,
have
I'm all
anything
good.
else or?
Nothing on my end. Thank you, Chris, for putting this together. And when you get that YouTube up, I'll go ahead and share that out so people can take a look at it, watch it today, and hopefully everybody will take these actions because they're going to be super quick and easy to do, but it's something that we definitely all need to do.
And then we'll have another horse talk, hopefully either next week or the week after, and we'll be talking about other ways that you can help. And like I said, right now, a lot of it's going to be centered around this appropriations language because that's the time of the season that we're in. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mike, for sharing your thoughts. And thank you, everyone, for watching. And have a good day.